Hello and welcome everyone. I hope you're all having a great day today. The DLC finally released and I have been non-stop playing Scholar the entire time. And I can confirm he very well may be the hardest, if not one of the hardest characters to play in the entire game. But thankfully I've got one build with two variations here today. One focused on fully supporting the team, and the second one focused on supporting the team while also giving yourself some reliable range damaging options. But without further ado, let's get right into the builds, and if this video helps out, make sure to hook me up with a huge like and subscribe as it helps out the channel a ton. Let's do this. Starting off with our first build here, we're going to be fully focused on support by giving our teammates damage buffs, sharing our flask and consumables, and having good crowd control options with our ultimate. The first relic you're going to want to look for is the Knight of the Fathom. You get this relic after completing the Augur expedition. The first passive says increases maximum HP, which gives you plus 100 to your HP. And this is going to put Scholar at a whopping 1000 HP at level 15, which is pretty impressive because that's the same HP that Executor has at level 15. So with this relic, he's actually going to have a pretty decent amount of HP, especially compared to the other squishy classes in the game. The second passive is Flask, also heal allies. This is a nice way to heal up your teammates without having to use something like an ultimate, consumables, or anything else like a healing spell. And it can also be great for your teammates to save their own flask for when they need it. But overall, it can just turn your flask into a 3-for-1 special. For the cost of one flask, you could potentially heal your entire team back up, which is just amazing. The final passive here is what makes this relic incredibly worth it to put on Scholar. As Scholar, when you use consumables, they get stronger the more you use them. And with this passive, the buffs that we get from these consumables, we can share those with our teammate. Not all of them, but a good few of them. A few examples here would be when you upgrade the boiled crabs category to level 3, you can see right here my max HP is 1000, but once I eat the boiled crab, 1300 HP. It increased by 300 health in this case. And this means that when you use this relic, you're able to transfer this buff, this increased maximum HP, over to your teammates, which can be incredibly powerful for keeping everyone else alive. Another good example of a level 3 consumable that can help out your team is something like Exalted Flesh. This is going to make it to where not only does it boost your physical attack, but it boosts your affinity attack too. So say you're playing with someone like a Recluse, and they do say 292 damage with a spell. If you use Exalted Flesh on them and the buff applies, it goes from 292 damage to 350 damage, which is a massive improvement. And while those are just two examples, there's plenty of other consumables that will give some absolutely incredibly helpful buffs to you and your teammates. But long story short, I wouldn't even play this character as a support if you're not going to use items confer effects to teammates, because it's just that useful. The second relic we're going to be talking about here is called the Cleansing Tear, and you're going to be able to get this after progressing far enough into the Scholar's Remembrance questline. The most important passive on this relic is going to be the first passive. This makes it to where our ultimate will constantly deal damage to all enemies caught in it, and it basically gives you auto life leech for its duration. Now this relic is definitely at its best when you're fighting a boss fight where there's multiple enemies. For example, fighting something like Tricephalos or the Balancers or even the Dreadlord whenever he's got his summons out. Those are good times to use a relic like this. But in a boss fight where you're just fighting one enemy at a time, this may not be the best relic to use out of all of them. Now, in all fairness, even in a one boss fight, you still will be getting auto life leech and your ultimate will be doing damage now where it previously didn't. But you know, there may be potential options that could be a better choice to make. But in a boss fight where you're just fighting one enemy at a time, this may not be the best relic to use out of all of them. Now, in all fairness, even in a one boss fight, you still will be getting auto life leech and your ultimate will be doing damage now where it previously didn't. But you know, there may be potential options that could be a better choice to make. Some examples that come to mind is using something like making your starting weapon start with Hoarfrost Stomp for utility, or attack power up when facing X status afflicted enemies, a relic that gives you more mana, the Wraith Calling Bell potentially, or basically anything you feel would get you more value than this relic. I feel like these are all good changes to make if you just find yourself in single boss fights most of the time, and you also feel like you're not getting much or like little to no value out of this relic most of the time. Otherwise, I would 100% say keep this relic on. It works wonders. Now for our final relic here, we're going to want to try to roll for a passive that says allies targeted by character skill gain boosted attack. Now while this relic is super simple and incredibly straightforward, it's also super powerful. At the end of the day, it means that you give both of your DPS a DPS increasing buff. And you're doing this while making the enemy deal less damage, and for one hit, you're making the enemy take even more damage on top of the damage buff that you give your allies, which can just lead to bosses getting absolutely melted incredibly quickly. Now as a quick side note, there is a relic that has this passive guaranteed on it with 0 RNG required, but to get this relic you do need to progress far enough into the Scholar's Remembrance questline, and a part of that questline includes beating the Draglord itself. So for the time being, if you haven't already done that, I recommend just rolling for this passive instead of going through all of that, because it is a bit much in my opinion. Finally, for deep relics, I would say it depends on what you're interested in doing as a support. If you're just comfortable going full support and all you want to do is just sit back and buff the team as much as possible while surviving, some relics that would be good to look out for would be something like maximum HP increased for each great enemy defeated at a great church, increased maximum HP, and improve physical/affinity damage negation buffs. This will be most effective at the lower depths, but the higher up you go in the depths, the enemies just start hitting like semi-trucks, so you are going to start to lose a bit of value from these relics the higher up the difficulty goes. Now if you're interested in dealing good chip damage from a distance, I personally think one of the most efficient ranged options he has is the Wraith Calling Bell. So if you're able to find one during the run, you could use triple magic attack power up +4 and squeeze as much damage as possible out of this bell. Just for reference here, we're going to be using triple magic attack power up +4, and when I hit this enemy with a level 3 bell, we get 280 damage out of it. And say we use an Exalted Flesh, at level 3 this is going to give us an affinity attack power bonus, so you'll see we go up to 336 damage per bell, which is a pretty decent chip damage option. As you can see, you can just sit here and spam it constantly and get some pretty decent damage pretty quickly. And also it has a really low FP requirement, so it's not going to take too much of a hit on your FP bar like a lot of other sorceries would. Finally, if you're comfortable staying in melee range, you could use relics that increase attack power when facing X status afflicted enemies. If you're interested in getting up close and personal with the many status effect weapons you get throughout your run. Relics that outright increase physical attack power +4 or less if you just want a bit more raw physical damage. Or relics that increase your attack power after using greases, which is extra nice on this character since they can stack 4 stacks of grease items in any consumable slot. Moving on to the second build variation, you're going to keep the allies targeted by character skill boost attack relic, but you swap out the cleansing tear relic and the Knight of the Fathom relic. The first relic you're going to want to put in its place is a relic that allows you to have a Wraith Calling Bell in possession at the start of your expedition. The only downside to this relic is it is going to take up a consumable slot, so instead of having like 4 available slots, you would be resorted to 3. And the second relic is a Grand Drizzly Scene that you can get from the collector's signboard, and this is just going to allow you to spawn in with 4 Starlight Shards immediately, and also allow you to have items confer effects to all nearby allies still. As for the Deep of the Night relics, try to get a magic attack power up +4 or below in every single Deep of the Night relic slot. Or if you just want other passives like survivability or any other passive in general you feel comfortable using, feel free to do that too. This build variant is supposed to be a nice middle ground of being slightly more selfish, but having to worry way less about having a solid damage source for ranged attacks or when enemies are just straight up status immune. Because once an enemy can start resisting whatever status effect your weapon is doing, you're just going to do a ton less damage and be way less effective. But with a Wraith Calling Bell, you'll always have a consistent source of ranged magical attack damage, as long as you have the mana for it. This second variant was definitely made from pure trial and error. If you just go full support with a team that's just really competent, really good DPS, then you'll be just fine. But if you got a team that, you know, can't quite pull it off as much, Well, 0 times 300 is still 0, you feel me? But that's gonna do it for today's video, guys. As always, I hope you all enjoyed, and let me know in the comment section down below who you like playing more, Scholar or the Undertaker, and let me know how many bosses you guys have managed to beat so far. I'm hoping to do a build on Undertaker next, but let me know if you guys want to see any other builds for any other Night Fares, since there are a ton of new relic effects out right now. But with that all being said and done, stay cool, stay awesome, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace and bye bye.